Hey everyone, it's Donald. I'm going to do the review on the Blue Alpine freeze dryer. So I know this is much needed. However, there was some stuff I really needed to kind of do research on. So that being said, this color here was actually custom done for me. I paid them to have this done. Looking at the outside of the machine, for one, I love the color. However, there's like, I don't know, I know you guys can't see it, but there's like a lip here that's not like even and flesh. Kind of have it. So that's the only spot on the front, but we do have it on the sidewalls. I did take the sidewalls off because I wanted to make sure that we could kind of go over that as well in this review. But the sidewalls are the same like little bow and stuff. So I wasn't too impressed with that. And then the first thing that really came though, they did package the machine extremely well. And I'm sorry if you guys hear my dogs running, but there's a actual quality control checklist. I think they did an extremely well job putting this checklist together, making sure the latest software is installed, external screws are correct. The one thing that really turned me off on this checklist, I'll just be honest, is when we talk about the M-Tours and them testing the M-Tours out, right? So run a test with the vacuum, making sure the vacuum's down. And then their test is, as long as it's less than 1125, it's a passing score, right? You guys know me for a long time if you've been watching this channel. Below 500 has always been the industry standard on these home freeze dryers. Stay Fresh and Harvest Right both have that as their standard until Stay Fresh recently supposedly changed it, but I haven't seen anything really official in writing, but they do say you can do a higher. That being said, it looks like theirs is 1125. Now this machine here tested at 831, 684 for the first vacuum test, and then they do a refrigeration test, and then so the first one's with ambient temperature before testing, and then this other one's with a cold temperature. So the thing about it though, what makes me somewhat worried is, yes, the first temperature or the first test on cold was lower than the first test up here. However, the second test was the highest M-Tour we actually had of all for testing. So not a fan of maybe the standards that are actually done in the machine. Heating test, they heat it to 120. As we look at freeze dryers, there's no other company that's releasing only 120 degree freeze dryers. So all the other ones go to like 140, 145. So kind of disappointing probably when it comes to the checklist. Definitely needs to probably be updated if they're going to have the higher standards that most people would expect. When it comes to the machine though, we still have a standard release valve. This is how you're going to release all the air into the chamber. Not a fan of this. Harvest Right has the same type of thing. This one's really long, but which can maybe be good because you can go other places. You don't have to get right next to the machine. However, just not a fan of air or moisture going. In fact, hold on a second. Yeah. So going back into that, right? In fact, looking at this, yeah, that's the way it is. Sorry, I was looking at the vacuum hose as well because their vacuum hose is definitely different on this machine than other machines. So, not a fan of, obviously, you cannot clean this hose. Like, that is impossible to actually clean. And so I'm not a fan. Obviously they use stainless steel fittings, which is good, but you can't clean this hose or anything like that. There's no clamp on this hose to actually secure this in. So say if it does get loose, you're going to have obviously a vacuum leak in this area as well. So not a fan of this. I'm not a fan of, obviously, if you want to take sides off, you can't do it because of the way it's just set up, as you guys can see here. Overall, the door is pretty standard. You know, it moves just like all the other machines do. A standard clamp that is typically seen on the Harvest Right machine. I still believe the one that was on Stay Fresh looks better and I feel operates a little bit better for me. But this is a standard door gasket that we see on all the machines. This is where I honestly have my true concerns about the machine. So this will plug into your tray system. Not a big deal. The tray system is very small. So if you're looking at getting a larger, this might be close to a medium, but I would still probably challenge that maybe. So you're gonna plug these in typically just like you would, and then they plug out, right? The one thing I don't see on these, and well, the gasket's inside here, so that makes sense. So the heating pads, I like these better than the typical orange ones that have a bunch of stuff on them. However, the tray system is super, super small, and there are just wires. I'm not sure these look like they might be like a silicone, like putty type stuff that's kind of on there. Not sure how well you're gonna be able to clean all up in here on any of the trays. If you see my hand barely fits in the tray, I might be able to reach halfway. So if you have big hands, make sure that you have something else to clean this tray system itself. Overall, it does look quality built, but you know, I can't wait for a company to actually release a tray system that just comes apart, that can actually be dishwasher safe or anything like that, and that can actually be 100% clean. But overall, the tray system is built very well, it seems like. The trays, these are their trays. This is a Stay Fresh tray. As you see, shortness wise, there's a big difference. Stay Fresh only has 4 trays in their system. However, you're gonna get more food in the Stay Fresh still. Just because of the way everything's built, you're gaining all that extra room here. So you don't get anything more from this system. I'm not a fan of, sorry, my dog wants to get part of the video. The way this is all built, right? So you'll see, you can get inside here, the wires and stuff. There's a hole, so which means bacteria can obviously grow in that hole possibly. The drain valve is actually like a fitting in this drain valve. So for you to clean in here, I think is gonna be very problematic. And then going back into the vacuum, I can't even reach my finger all the way back. Maybe with my pinky. With my pinky, I can get all the way back in here, right? So you're once again gonna have problems cleaning in there, making sure that there's no form of bacteria in there or anything like that. They did put a filter on here, which is cool, but once again, it's with all the food. It's gonna get probably moisture on it. It could probably have a high chance of stuff just getting on there. Once again, you're gonna have a hard time cleaning in there. My pinky doesn't get all the way back to the back of that. So while they put a filter, I'm not sure if that filter is actually beneficial due to it's only filtering air from the vacuum. When you release all the air to the drain, maybe I misunderstand this machine, but either way, you're going to release air from there, or you're going to be releasing air from your vacuum pump, which I didn't see any valve on doing that either. Either way, this is going to be a hard spot to clean. This is going to be super hard because it's actually, and it has fittings, it has the stuff for a fitting in there as well. So you're not going to be able to clean back in there. Definitely worried about sanitary on this machine. Getting into the other parts of the machine, I've actually adjusted some of this stuff already because of these wires were all actually laying next to your condenser area in here, right? So this gets pretty hot. These wires were laying right next to it. In fact, they were actually zip tied here. So obviously wasn't a fan of that. If you can see back in here, here's your screen display area. They put some anti-static plastic. I believe this is what this is actually called. When you take it back, pretty standard screen, all that type of stuff. However, there's some wires that are not properly outfitted on here. It looks like they used some sticky stuff and that already came on. The wire is already coming off the plastic, so you already see like exposed wire on the machine. So not a big fan of that, obviously. Not as high quality, in my opinion. This condenser uses, it's not typical Freon that we're all used to. So if you look on the back of, if you actually look on the back of the Blue Alpine label, it actually has a danger warning for like fire and all that type of stuff, because this is actual flammable refrigerant. That being said, I've done a lot of research about this, and that's kind of what took this video so long to make, is this is going to be more standard in homes in the future, because the United States government and everything like that is going away from the old style of a refrigerant. However, it made me very worried. And what does that mean? If whose responsibility is this? If this leaks, all of a sudden it does burst and the flame, my house catches on fire. Is it Blue Alpine, or is it my homeowner's insurance, or who actually is responsible when that happens? So from the research that I've done, it looks like it would be my fault, which means my homeowner's insurance would do it, even though the leak would come from this machine, because I didn't identify the leak and all that type of stuff. So that being said, our refrigerators and stuff are eventually moving over to this from all the research I've done, but definitely probably some concerns that I do have, and that's why this machine actually hasn't even been started, is I'm trying to figure out, with the amount of grams of refrigerant in the machine, how big that fire could be, or how long that refrigerant is going to be in the air. Because here in Alaska, we have heaters in our garages. While this machine comes with the no spark vacuum pump, my heater in my garage doesn't care about that. So in turn, I have to worry about what that's going to do. I'm sure places in like Michigan, obviously Alaska, some of those colder places have heaters in their garage. So that creates some form of a spark. In turn, like, it could combust if it's leaking. So obviously a big concern when it comes to that. When you go to the back side here, as I said, you can't take that panel off. This is a typical foam that was used in the Harvest Right machines, and once again, it's being used again in these machines. Not a fan of it, because Stay Fresh went to like a actual foam that could be peeled off, and you could replace it at the end of the day. This is probably not replaceable. I'm not a big, I just haven't used it. The hose for the vacuum is a heater hose, a silicone heater hose. This is a newly replaced item. So they used to have one, and when I've talked to customers who have used the machine, and I've also talked to the company, they had some complaints that during vacuum, this hose would just suck down. In turn, that can definitely cause some issues. The company claims it wouldn't cause any issues with vacuum. However, when you're restricting the amount of airflow that can come through the hose, it can cause issues, in my opinion. It's just a flimsy hose at the end of the day. It is real flimsy. Not a big fan of it. I explained that. I will be looking at, hey, what do we do to maybe have parts to fix this in the future? However, when you take this off, this is a ball valve and it's just screwed in there. So, I mean, there could be some stuff there. You don't see any Teflon tape on any of the connections. Is it needed? Is it not needed? Could it be a leak point? 100% it could be a leak point. Is it not needed? I don't know. I'm hoping a lot of testing was obviously done before they didn't put any type of Teflon or anything, because Teflon, the tape is very standard with fittings as a whole. You'll see they used stretch tape, or this heat tape that once you heat it, it kind of goes on the wires. That being said, there's like exposed wires all in here. It's not like, I think I could probably easily break some wires just messing with this thing. Not a big fan of how all these wires are put together. This is where your heater and stuff is, because there's just exposed wires I can already see, and it's not just what I would expect from a company. These obviously wires are all, these go to the back door, and it's actually what powers the machine, so that's why you see these ones loose. So you have to actually unplug the whole thing in order to get that back panel off and everything like that. A little more work than the other machines for sure. This is your vacuum sensor, right? Once again, it's very flimsy. Not a big fan of it as a whole. Yeah, so that's also, this refrigerant takes a really long time to cool everything down. So that's the lowdown kind of on this machine without starting the machine, just looking at what they give, all that type of stuff. That being said, everyone's always asking, well, where do you put this with other machines? Being that I haven't started this machine still after having it for weeks now, should obviously, hopefully, probably explain my caution about this machine. Stay Fresh, in my opinion, is still probably the #1 machine for sure. It's very comparable in price to the Blue Alpine, very still comparable to the price of the Harvest Right machines. And when you look at my video of going over like quality parts in the machine and everything that I've done before on that video, I think you just see a lot more quality parts on the Stay Fresh machine. That being said, I haven't always been a fan of the Harvest Right machine. However, Harvest Right, in my opinion, after seeing this machine and working on Harvest Right and everything, this is going to be a very hard machine for the average person to probably replace parts and everything else like that. So Harvest Right is in #2 in my opinion. And with this machine, unfortunately right now, I just say really stay away from the machine. There's a lot of stuff that needs to be looked at on cleaning the machine, just the way all these parts are really put together. If there's repairs that need to be done, anything like that, there's not a lot of support still from the company when it comes to repairs. They're not going to have a lot of people that, for one, understand the machine, such as like this channel here, where we can kind of walk you through fixing a Harvest Right machine and all that type of stuff. I feel very confident if there was issues with Stay Fresh machines, I could walk through that. But Tim at Stay Fresh has been very good about people and help and stuff. I haven't asked these guys for help, don't get me wrong, because there's nothing wrong with the machine per se. I'm just not a fan of the design, how it's put together, and all that type of stuff. Hey, if you want to get ready to turn this off for me. Oh, and if you can see, it's pretty standard, and then it goes a lip in, and then it's like that. That's what I'm talking about. Like, it's just, there's like a spot here. So stayfresh.com, if you want a Stay Fresh machine, that's my #1 machine that I would honestly suggest and recommend. Harvest Right, sorry, my dog loves to just be seen. Harvest Right, #2, I would personally stay away from the extra large machines right now, just because there are quite a few issues with those machines that we've seen. And they're a little bit more difficult to probably do some work on. And Blue Alpine, unfortunately, is at the bottom of the list of machines currently. And as you see, I told you guys, my dog wanted to see you all. So I hope this helps. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of hate on some company or something like that. But understand, I can only go off of what is in front of me. I've used some other machines, all that type of stuff. But overall, stay fresh, harvest right, Blue Alpine. If you guys have any questions, leave a comment, anything like that, let me know. I hope you guys all have a great day.